All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be breaking down round 2 here of the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Going to be touching on the best showdown plays, the best 3-ball bets. If we get head-to-head bets and underdog or prize picks prop bets, I will be touching on that during this video as well. But as I'm recording this, at this moment, we're not getting that, which we might not because round 1 got suspended. So round 1 wasn't able to get finished. Typically speaking, when that happens, matchup bets specifically are a little bit slower to come out for specific sports books. So we might not get that. But I do want to start off with a quick recap from round 1. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and just start by taking a peek at the leaderboard. So obviously round 1 was most likely rough for you. I have this sorted by ownership. Look at it, guys. There's Justin Thomas, one of the best plays, obviously. He's top 10, and then maybe Tom Kim, we have to scroll down pretty far for him as well, but he wasn't that high owned. Basically anyone that was pretty high owned or, arguably really high owned did terribly. Okay, so a lot of players played worse than expected. Okay, and so do not be surprised if round 2 ends up being a much better day. In a weird way, round 1 was, this is going to sound weird, but for me, like over the past year and a half now, the worst round basically every single week has been round 4 for me. It's been so annoying. There's been so many weeks. I referenced Max Graceman with his double bogey on 18, the water ball on 18 to cost me a GPP. That is something that's happened multiple times over the past year and a half, where the worst round was round 4. It's like, all right, if we just have a day in round 4, we're going to be good to go. This is the first time I think in a long time, 3 years, where I've had this bad of a round 1. But it's also nice to see that everyone else also had a bad round 1 as well. That is a good thing there. Okay, so it's not like obviously you want to be getting 6 for 6 across the cut line, 5 out of 6 across the cut line, but you're really not behind the 8 ball too much if you're on a lot of these guys, because a lot of these guys are going to be golfers are expected to play well in round 2. Now, obviously they need to go out and play well. We'll kind of talk about which players are expected to play well, but do not be too surprised if that does happen. Let's take a peek at the leaderboard. Okay, Wyndham Clark, bigger name golfer. I mean, it's not too crazy. Lee Hodges, who has been a golfer that we've been on this week as well, just not as much as last week because he just got priced up a little bit. Not really shocking that he's playing well. Taylor Moore, a little bit shocking. Hogard, the fact that he finished -5, kind of shocking. A little bit annoying too because we were on Justin Thomas as a first round lead. No one really got it going for the early AMT times, but a lot of the first round leader picks ended up playing pretty well. Kind of gave away some strokes though as well. So in simple, guys, data wise, very random round 1 for the most part. Now, yes, there are some golfers that played really well, but for the most part, we saw a lot of more random performances. So don't be surprised if that does end up flipping here in round 2. And in a weird way, I'm excited that the bad round, obviously need golfers to make the cuts and whatnot, but if the bad round happened in round 1, that is good for momentum for round 3 and round 4. Again, if you get those golfers across the cut line. So let's go ahead and take a peek here. I'm sorting by round 2 and then looking at showdown ranks. So we're going to see a lot of the top golfers that we'd want to be on are going to be the top showdown plays, which is pretty nice. So Scotty Scheffler, now he's going to be pretty priced up, guys. This is his price on the main slate. On showdown, it's 12.8, extremely high price, which is what I would have argued it should have been on the main slate as well, because although the golfers are playing terribly that I paired with Scotty Scheffler, it was super easy to fit him into our builds. There are some builds, my best builds are literally Scotty Scheffler JT builds right now, where I was on Andrew Putnam, Bryce Garnett, Ben Coles, little bit of Jake Knapp. I think there's one other player in there, where I was just doing studs and duds. That's working out somehow. But that was kind of the point. It's Scotty Scheffler should have been priced higher, and they corrected that here in round 2. But looking at no shock, I mean, a lot of the top players here are the top showdown plays here. So Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns, Hideki, Tagala, Seb Straka, Corey Connors, Sanjay M, JT. Really no shocks in terms of the players that we are probably going out of our way to target. Now, one thing I do want to call out is regression. So obviously there's a lot of golfers that played terribly in round 1, right? Terribly. Okay, Tom Hoge +7. He's someone that, yes, he's the most likely to play better than he did in round 2, which is not shocking. He's someone that can be a little bit hit or miss, and obviously he missed in round 1, but it wouldn't be shocking to see him have a better round. Now, in terms of what players need to get to for the cut line, right now there's a bunch of players that are tied at even par here, and so the cut line probably will be -1 or even par. I don't know if we're going to, I think that's pretty safe to say. So if a golfer can get to -1, that shoots. So Tom Hoge not making the cut is the summary of it. But, -1, even par. If a golfer can get to that, I'm fine with that. So a player like, for example, Lucas Glover, who's +4 currently, it actually wouldn't be surprising to see him play better, a lot better. A lot of his struggles actually came from putting. We'll touch on that in just a second. So he's someone we're probably looking at, but Charlie Hoffman as well. Couldn't hit a fairway. Basically the same thing there with him. Billy Horschel finished 69th, and he's still 14th most likely to have a much better round in round 2. So that's all good stuff for us. So let's take a peek actually at the live strokes gain stats. But first, real quickly, I want to take a peek at win rank. So win rank is just basically who's most likely to win the tournament now heading into round 2. JT, Wyndham Clark, Taylor Moore, Lee Hodges, and then Sky Scheffler in place 27. That's pretty crazy. And I'm just bringing that up because if you guys see any value in any of these picks that you want to get to, by all means, go ahead and make those. It's not looking good for my outright bets. It's really not. And just in general, guys, for round 1 betting wise, matchup bets 1 for 3, terrible there. Prize picks Underdog 3 for 4, but Ches Reeve, who was in both slips, the player that missed, so not a good day there. 3-ball bets, a little bit better, 3 for 6. 0.43 units profit there. First round lead over 5. So a terrible round 1, just collectively. Showdown-wise, it actually wasn't. Showdown-wise, it was fine, actually. But I do expect this. I don't want to put any confidence in anyone's head, like stick to your same strategies that you do, but I do think that this will be a better round than round 1 just in general overall. Like, it just has to be. But yeah, let's take a peek at someone like Lucas Glover, guys. So Lucas Glover, let's just look at his live stats right now, okay? So live stats, stroke in total, 4 strokes game total on the field, lost almost 3 strokes putting on the field, okay? He's typically not a great putter, but 0.65 strokes gain putting on the season. So do not be surprised if he does end up having a much better round putting, okay? Wasn't the best in terms of strokes gained approach as well. Not terrible off the tee. He was actually pretty good off the tee, where if we look at someone like Charlie Hoffman here, guys, we're going to notice that he was garbage off the tee. Charlie Hoffman hit 3 fairways. Three, okay? And he's still in 92nd place, okay? We can see he was just terrible across the board. Strokes gained tee to green, minus 2.5. Strokes gained off the tee, okay? Just nothing going. Lost strokes putting, which he kind of actually made up for kind of his terrible putting, actually. In his sense, he actually gained strokes putting. He wasn't expected to putt that better. But do not be surprised if he does better simply because he's hitting freaking fairways and not having to take drops out of the fairway. We take a peek at someone like Billy Horschel, guys. Billy Horschel ended up putting terribly, okay? He typically is not losing any putts, strokes gained putting at all, okay? So that's good. But 2.3 strokes putting, that was terrible, okay? And he was actually extremely good strokes gained approach. He actually gained 2.75 strokes gained approach, so that's terrible. That number is most likely going to come down, but do not be surprised if he actually makes more putts. But at the same time, look at his fairways hit. He only hit 6 fairways as well. Now, that tells me that he was missing in the correct spots for the most part on these holes, but he couldn't make a putt. But interesting round there. But in general, let's go ahead and take a peek at which golfers are actually most likely to putt better or have strokes gained approach. So Lucas Glover is like one. Well, he's the second best, but he's one of the most likely to have a better day putting. Luke Clanton's one of those. Tom Hoagie, we don't need to get there. Sky Scheffler as well. He putted terribly, almost 2 strokes lost putting there. So don't be surprised if he putts better. Sam Burns missed a very short bunny as well. So, kind of naturally you make those most of the time, like 90% of the time. I think it was like a 95% likelihood of him making a putt that he missed. It was a short one. So you give him that. He's gained a stroke there. Pretty easy to see that. And then let's look at the opposite way. Which players are most likely to suck putting in round 2? Doug Gim, JT Post, and Taylor Moore. No shocks there. Wyndham Clark, Holgard, maybe. I wouldn't say these guys like are complete avoids for showdown purposes, but it is worth calling out there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into the 9-to-5 lineup builder. And I do want to call it, guys, if you want to get to Scottie Scheffler, he is the highest projected player on the slate by far, pretty much. But you're going to have to raise up his projections a decent amount if you want to get to him. So again, to use the lineup builder, we need to increase the projections by, or just any data points, do 2 of those corrections. I'm just going to generate this so you guys can see which players the data is telling us to get to the most, just in general. So I'm going to sort by players. Tom Hoagie. I don't want to get to Tom Hoagie that much. Full disclosure. Like, I'll still get to him. I think even if I'm at 15%, that'll still be enough. And for what it's worth, guys, I really don't care about ownership for really any of the showdowns. Typically speaking, it really doesn't matter. People are just not on the correct plays, and it typically doesn't matter. Now, maybe for Scottie Scheffler it will, but other than that, it just typically doesn't matter. So I don't even care to look at projected ownership. I don't even have it in there because it really just doesn't matter. That leads people to make very poor decisions in round 2. Typically speaking, people aren't attacking the showdowns overall correctly there as well. So that's something I just don't include. I don't even think it's worthwhile. For the most part, not even the most accurate. Now, again, some sites are kind of self-fulfilling with that, where they're a little bit bigger, so they can tell people who to play. Thus, their lineup builder is making builds based off of that, and then they get the ownership projections that way. Okay, it's a sneaky way they go about doing that. But if one site is also pulling in projections a little bit differently for who's expected to play well, then it does change a significant amount. So looking at this, I do want to go through and kind of show you guys what I'm looking at here. So I typically do like to do a dry run is what I call it like that. And then maybe those plays are a little bit too high, like Tom Hoagie, don't need to get to. But typically speaking, what I'll do, let's do 10 for him. Typically speaking, what I do, and I've showed you guys this bunch, 3 unique players, 30% max exposure, maybe gradual randomness where we're just making the player pool a little bit more filled out. So a little bit more players in there. But Tom Hoagie, 10%, I'm fine with that. But I do want to get to Sky Scheffler. So I'm going to just really bump his projection up by a decent amount, like by 10 here. So I'm really telling it I want to get to Sky Scheffler, at least in 30% of my builds. Okay, so now I am, as you guys can see here. Lucas Glover's in there. I don't know if you guys agree with that. Bo Hosler, do we need to get to him that much? Maybe not. But because we are playing Sky Scheffler in 30% of our builds, obviously we're going to get to more random lineups. Okay, so that's part of the issue that we have here. Now, if you want to get to more of Scotty and you're playing him, but you are limited the rest of the plays to 30% max exposure, you could do like, I mean, Scotty was 60% on the main slate. If you want to get to him in 60%, max exposure 60%, if the data agrees with it based off his projection, he'll be at 60%, which he is here. Okay, so that's what you guys can see with this lineup builder. Okay, and I'm kind of okay with a lot of these ownerships, honestly, for the most part. Probably would want a little bit more JT, and maybe we do a little bit more studs and duds, but for the most part, I'm kind of okay with this. Maybe we don't need to get to 30% of all those guys. Could actually even drop that down to, like, could even drop this down to 20. Because that's how spread out the ownership was. And so we can do that and we should be good there. Yeah, much more filled out player pool there, I would say, for sure. And so we'll zoom in here real quickly. Based off of that, me jacking up the projections for Sky Scheffler to ensure that he's in my builds. Kind of ugly. Tom Hoagie's in there. Okay, don't know if we exactly need to get in there. Will he play better? Yes. Doesn't need to play that. I mean, obviously it's going to be easy to play better. I don't know if we need to get it to him that much. But then Lucas Glover, Harry Hall, Bo Hosler, Keith Mitchell. So more risk reward here for sure. That it is definitely more risk reward. And for what it's worth, guys, I did put out some Underdog projections. I put out the CSV file for round 2. If you guys are interested in using that, head on over to the 9 to 5 Discord chat. I just uploaded that in there. If you guys have never signed up for Underdog before and want to do so, make sure to just help out the channel. Use the promo code 925. That's just the easy way to kick back money to the channel, easy way to support the channel, but also help you guys self out as well. Take advantage of the deposit matches when they have them or any promos. Okay, if you guys are betting on Prize Picks or Underdog, take advantage of the promos that are out there. Okay, 50% deposit match. That's a great deal. And for example, this is a draft I have going on right now. I'm probably going to get Tom Hoagie in the last pick, which again, kind of ugly. Do I need to get that much of him? Probably not, but I like to start. Scotty Scheffler, Nick Taylor, Corey Connors, JT Poston's okay. Charlie Hoffman, shoulder shrug, but I mean, obviously having the first pick's huge. But the fact that I could run it back and get Nick Taylor and Corey Connors felt pretty good about that. So I don't like not every slate's created equal for Showdown or best ball drafts, but I think this one's decent. But the issue with best ball drafts, honestly, and Underdog is they don't have a good single entry like best ball draft. You need to get volume in on those. That's the way you're going to be successful for the most part. Obviously anyone can get lucky with one lineup and whatnot, but the more the better. And I don't always like to encourage people to do that. All right, and so yes, looking at the round 2 3-ball bets, it is going to be a lot of the same. But what we're going to from round 1, but we are going to notice we are getting a lot more good bets. And so what I categorize as a good bet is a bet that has over 40% likelihood to hit. And so obviously we are getting a ton here. Now, do we want to double dip with Hogard again? Maybe. Obviously had a good round 1. I actually don't hate that. I think that's fine. The fact that we're getting him at a bet where it's still going to be over 1 unit of profit if he hits, I'm fine with that. Charlie Hoffman, again, is expected to play better. I know people don't want to go back to him, especially after Ben Cole sent himself a good day in round 1, kind of let a good round get away from him. I'm fine with that. Benny Ann, again, these are 3 players that we already bet on in round 1, and so we're going back to them. Tom, I'm kind of just like, okay, going down the board once again for the most part. JT, the fact that we can still get him at 2-1 feels pretty good about that. Sky Scheffler, I do think we can get to. I don't want to give out too much, but for the most part, I am typically okay with just going with all the bets that are like 40% likely or better to hit. Like Bazoo now is probably not going to play that good again. So like Davis Thompson playing better, I'm fine with that. It's basically him versus Davis Thompson. Can Brent Snedeker have a good round? Sure, but it's not likely. So I think I'm okay there. Yeah. We'll do those ones. Guys. And then real quickly, guys, some matchup bets for round 2. So Harry Hall beating Lee Hodges on BetMGM. That's minus 118 there. A little bit shocking that one's popping up. Actually, Lee Hodges has been playing great golf, but okay with that. I'm going to trust the data there. Another interesting one, Jordan Spieth beating Gary Woodland -118. So we are getting two favorites here, obviously. But what the 9-5 data is telling us is that the 9-5 data likes those two better than what the odds are currently showing us here. Then can we get another bet? Again, these have been pretty darn hot thus far this year. And so going 1 for 3 in round one, really not shocking. That's just like the typical balancing act because you're not going to be doing that good all the time. Like you really shouldn't expect to do that good. Like I think I would have to look. It'll be in the description of the video. 32 for 42, I believe. And so now 33 for 45. Like, yeah, it makes sense. I might just stop there. I think we're good there. And we'll see. Are we getting any EV bets for round 2? A couple. The biggest one would be Akshay beating Billy Horschel. I don't want that to hit. Please don't hit. And then, guys, yes, we are not getting any underdog prop bets just yet for the rounds, so we're not going to be getting any prize pick prop bets as well. That will be updated on the 9-5 prize picks and underdog cheat sheets that are available on the 9-5 website. If you guys are unfamiliar with what goes into the 9-5 membership, you get all these tools for $10 a month. All the data is already curated for you, so you guys can just go in and see it. I do want to call it is mostly for desktop use. You can use it on mobile devices as well. There is a cheat sheet mobile, but definitely much more designed for that desktop use. But that's going to do it here, guys. Thank you for watching. Good luck with all your bets in round 2. Have a good day. Leave a like to the video. Appreciate you guys being here. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.